last time.
Yeah.
We are live. Welcome from beautiful downtown Robbinsville and Hamilton studio. You're listening to the
What are we listening to?
Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max.
You might not be, though.
Or-
We might just be talking.
That's okay, though, because we're used to it. My name's Tom Mongelli.
His name is Tom Mongelli.
And this annoying piece
Hey, I'm your partner.
And my partner is Doug Max. And tonight we have on our show Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions.
The wonderful Jack Hoffman of J. Irwin Productions.
Jack who?
You don't know Jack.
It's always fun to be here, but I'm still not seeing it on Facebook.
We
Where is it?
are actually on. I am looking at it, even as we speak.
And today's celebrity spotlight will be on Andy Kaufman. Thank you very much. And later on in the show, we're going to have no filter Paul or no future Paul, and Dave Hodjanowski.
I think he goes by No Filter Paul.
No filter, huh?
He had a past.
That sounds like a green swimming pool to me. No filter. We're on live? Yeah. All right.
Didn't you say that a minute ago?
Yeah. Well, we've been on the air. I don't know who's paying attention. No, but none of our listeners.
Hey. Hey, still with the Mongelli and Max, it's all capital.
Don't worry about it.
But our logo is with lowercase Mongelli and a lowercase Max.
Look, the fact
that's important to me,
the fact
Tom.
that you could read it at all is a plus.
Well, that's true. I've got everything on me is going now.
So anyway, Doug, you want to introduce J. Irwin Productions?
J. Irwin Productions is a wonderful comedy shop. If you want a fundraiser, if you want to hire a comedian to come and perform in your bathroom because you're some kind of freak, J. Irwin Productions can do. You would do that, right, Jack? Would you? If somebody called you up and said, "I want to hire a funny comedian to perform for me in my bathroom," would you say, "I'll find you somebody"?
I will find somebody. I'm not going. I'm busy that day.
That's a good thing. Have you had any weird requests like that from people?
No, thank God.
Okay.
No. And I'm not religious. No.
Because I've always said I would like perform at weddings or at bridal parties of people you don't want to get married. And
I recently did an 80th birthday party.
Oh.
Nice.
And had the wonderful Chris Monti.
Oh,
do
Chris
he
it.
is wonderful.
It was a great show. Great show.
But
Crowd
was there
loved it.
cake?
Oh, a lot of cake.
Oh, that's good.
And a lot of Italian pastries.
Anyway, for those people, for that person out there listening who does not know who Jack is, Jack knows everybody. And he's really become a wonderful comedy producer up in New Jersey or all around. I don't know where you are, but you've earned quite a reputation in the comedy world as a good producer.
Well, this September is going to be 8 years that I retired from corporate world. And I guess I've been called the poster boy for retirement. And just started going to comedy shows, meeting comedians, hanging out with comedians. And then about 4 years ago, I said, let me try this. And the very first comedy show that I had was Jeff Parami and Joey Callahan.
Okay.
And it's been a great run. It really has. We've got some great shows coming up this year, and I'm now partnering with Chip Ambrosio.
Okay.
Chip has been teaching comedy for almost 20 years. He has 400 students out there.
Wow.
I think I know a couple students, ex-students, all professional comedians now. And he's also written for the Friars Club Roasts. And he's been performing comedy also for 20 years. And we've partnered on a bunch of shows. And should I get right into it and talk about what we're doing this year?
You're more than welcome to. What's coming up?
All righty. Well, coming up on Friday the 27th is our first show at the brand new Hack Pack. The Hackensack Performing Arts Center, a 250-seat brand new theater. Hackensack, yak. And it's a brand new theater, modern sound, modern lighting, everything, beautiful theater. And we've got 4 professional shows, touring shows coming up starting March 27th is our first show.
Nice.
And
What's that first show called?
first show is Funny Women of a Certain Age.
Uh-huh.
Carol Montgomery has come up with this wonderful premise of comedy for women who are of a certain age. Let's just leave it at that. Exactly.
I
And
know
she's-
you like Carol a lot, but you know something? I've written to her like 3 times trying to get on that show. Nothing. Nothing. Crickets. It's the same as when I perform stand-up.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's the dress. You're not wearing the right type of dress for her.
I sent her photos. I look fetching.
That's it.
Do I not look fetching?
She told me
Like
you
a
look,
dog.
She told me you
I
look
know.
fetching.
Yeah, well,
Fetching.
yeah. That's if you listen to me. I'm fetching.
But we Funny Women of a Certain Age was the #1 comedy premiere on Showtime in 2019.
Oh.
And you'll never believe the coincidence here. Their second show is premiering this weekend, 10 days before our show goes live.
Oh, no.
So it's going to be great. No, that's it. Everyone's going to know what Funny Women of a Certain Age is because
Yeah.
they've watched it now.
Sure.
And we've got a different lineup. Besides Carol Montgomery on our show in beautiful downtown Hackensack, we've got Vanessa Hollingshead
Nice.
and Kerry Louise Cotter.
Okay.
So we've got 3 pros that have made people laugh across the country.
That's a home run.
It really is. Really is. And tickets are available at jirwinproductions.com. Just go to my website and click on tickets, and you've got the tickets there. Tickets are selling.
Nice.
We've got 3 other shows coming up after that
Really?
at the Hack Pack.
I made a person laugh once.
I remember. I think I saw it on Facebook. I remember.
Wasn't it on Sadie Hawkins Day? Comics should have a Sadie Hawkins Day. All the bad comics get
Well, but the thing is, you are both Chip Ambrosio alumni.
That's right.
My
There's
God.
no
You know
bad
something?
comics in this
Oh, are
room.
you kidding? You know what Chip taught me? One thing.
What did he teach you?
One thing.
What did he teach you?
One thing.
What did he teach you? Did he teach you anything?
Yeah, he did. He said, Doug, no more jokes about sex with animals. I never had sex with animals.
Until after you told the
That's
truth.
not what
No,
they-
it
that's
was
not what the animals
I
do.
was a hapless participant.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, that's
Now,
what I
Doug
call
and
it.
I were in Chip's very first class through the Scotty's Comedy
That's where
Club.
Tom and I
Really?
fell
The
in
first
love.
class?
The very first class, and
Yes.
that's where we met.
I won the first Comedy Cove competition.
Right.
Competition. Of course, they'll never book me again.
It's been uphill from there.
Hello, Comedy Cove. L'Oreal. Gene, if you're listening, I'm available. I'm like 10 minutes away. Okay. Jack, you have shows coming up.
What are the other 3 shows? Can you give us a clue?
I'll give you more than a clue. I'll tell you
Oh.
exactly.
Yeah, it's enough talking
I'm
about
excited.
me.
We
And by
have-
the way, David Hodge is HOJ.
That's what I told him.
Okay, well, it's
We
Hodge.
have coming up Saturday, May 2nd,
Mason.
we have Maureen Langan, wonderful comedian.
yeah, she is.
She has done this one-person show in New York and Baltimore and California and Florida, and now we got her in Hackensack.
Who's the one person she does?
Maureen
me?
Langan.
Oh.
And daughter of a garbage man.
Right.
Her dad came over from the old country in Ireland and was a New York City sanitation worker. And she pulls out all the stops with this show. I saw this show in New York last year. And there's a lot of laughs. There's a lot of heartstring pulling there. It's a great show. It really is. And she's been taking it all across the country, and we're happy to have her in May and in beautiful downtown Hackensack. I'm going to keep saying that. We follow that in June with Peter Fogel. Peter Fogel, comedian, started in Long Island, has been living in Florida,
Okay.
and he takes this show all across the country. Just did a 1 or 2 week run in Boston. And I went and I saw this in Long Island about a month ago, and it was a sold-out crowd. And this is Till Death Do Us Part, You First. She's romantic, he's hopeless. And really, it's the story of a 59-year-old guy who's single.
I can relate to that.
And be my guest. You're coming to the show.
Okay.
But the key thing here, not only do we have the very funny Peter Fogel, okay, this show is directed by Chaz Palminteri.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And he did show up. Since he lives in the New York metro area, he showed up at that Long Island show. I can't make any promises, but we're certainly hoping.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow.
And our last show there is going to be in October. And what Chip and I are doing...
Last show there, where there?
At that beautiful...
The
At the Hackensack?
Hackensack Performing Arts Center.
In beautiful downtown Hackensack.
Beautiful downtown Hackensack. And the last show is The Funniest Person in Bergen County. And headlining the show is Bill Ervolino from the Bergen Record.
Yeah.
And he draws a crowd wherever he goes.
And is he, in fact, the funniest person in Bergen County?
He's going to be headlining the show, but we're going to be finding between now and October the funniest people in law, teachers. We're going to be looking for
Self-storage?
Self-storage. We're going to be looking
Caretakers of World War II vets?
Oh, definitely. There's at least 30 in line waiting to
That's
try out for
probably
that.
the entire line.
But we're going to be finding some of the funniest people that might work right next to you or in the next office or whatever, and we're going to put them on stage in Hackensack.
Nice.
But the headliner will be Bill Ervolino.
Nice.
And so Chip and I have gotten together. We've made an arrangement with this theater to bring these three of these shows are touring nationally. Obviously, Bergen County's touring Bergen County.
Right.
But it should be it's going to be a fun run. It really is.
That's great.
Nice.
Yep.
Tom, aren't you going on tour coming up?
Yeah, Lipitor. That's a joke.
That is. International listeners,
it's not a good
American
joke, but
humor.
it's a joke.
That was a setup. It was a slow ball pitch.
Hey,
And
while we're doing plugs, can I plug some of my shows?
I've done mine. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
do plugs quickly before
All right,
Paul
quick-
comes on, because I'm afraid of what plugs he's going to do.
Quickly, as long as they're not canceled for the coronavirus, this Friday the 13th, dum dum dum,
Dum, dum, dum.
Tucker's Tavern in Beach Haven, New Jersey. That's LBI to you and me. The next day, Saturday the 14th, Ben's Deli in Bayside, Queens.
Ooh.
Yep, and that's going to be after the Lou Costello birthday celebration at the Patterson Museum.
Yeah, we should
Mention
talk about
later.
that later.
Yep. And Saturday the 21st, I'm going to be at the Station Bar and Grill in Cranberry. Thursday the 26th, I'm actually producing a show with Uncle Floyd, headlining at the Flemington Elks in Flemington, New Jersey, and Dave Satzik from our show is also going to be there. And Friday the 27th, I'll be at the Cedarville Firehouse in Cedarville, New Jersey.
Ooh, that'll be hot there.
Is that all, Tom?
That's it for March.
Okay, so I timed your pitches for yourself, and it
Yeah.
took 4.5 minutes. So I'm gonna do
That's
my
longer than your
pitches.
set.
So my pitches is I'm just gonna cry for the next 4.5 minutes. You're rubbing it in all these
not.
gigs.
I'm not. I'm just
Like
putting
you're
it out
funny,
there.
I'm not funny. People like you. They don't. Anyway, I do have something coming up.
What do you
I'm
have?
gonna be hosting a movie about 5 famous female Jewish comedians,
Okay.
and I'll be in drag at the Morristown Jewish Historical Society, beautiful Speedwell Avenue, this coming Saturday night.
All right. Most of your shows are drag. I'm sorry. I interrupted.
American humor.
Who are the 5 female
Yeah.
Jewish comedians?
So I don't know, but I'll be hosting and moderating a discussion about them. So it should be very. So among the comedians are Gilda Radner, I know is one, and Joan Rivers, and then I want to say Fanny Bryce, maybe, was she Jewish?
Sure.
And then there were 2 others who I really don't know, and a Jewish playwright who is regarded as a comedian, but I'm just working on my
Who,
cover
Irma
because they're
Bombeck?
going to be looking at me and thinking, this is not a woman introducing a movie. But, like the same problem with the funny women of a certain age. People are going to be looking at me and like, you're not a woman.
Maybe you weren't a certain age, though. That
Well,
might have been the issue.
I'm gonna talk to them. No, I'm gonna talk to them about my aspirations to perform as a Diana Ross lookalike. Have I told you my girlfriend is seriously? She doesn't recognize my. I get in a dress one time and I had fun with it, and I keep on wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And whenever I mention it, she looks at me like seriously wondering whether or not I have alternative proclivities.
Well, I've looked at you in that way too.
Okay, well, I'll try to dress down a little bit. Then. In that case, what kind of outfit do you like me wearing, Tom?
Not
Do you
that
know
there's anything wrong with that.
who's speaking that night? Who's doing the talking about the fight?
Me, I am. I'm the expert. No, I'm gonna let the movie. Honestly, I've learned in things like
it's a
this.
movie.
I'm not gonna be doing. I'm gonna very quickly say why I'm introducing it, which is basically I don't know why, but the woman who's running it knows me through my father, and then I'm gonna field comments and questions afterwards.
Should we tell him now that the other 3 people ahead of him all canceled out? And then they called him?
Yeah, right.
He's
Haven't you got anybody? No, not him. Yeah, well, he's free that night.
well. If Tom did his pitches, you're the relief pitcher.
I've still got. Okay,
I leave the comedy to the professionals.
I still got 2.5 minutes of crying. No, I'm very. Of all the comedians that I know, there's only one comedian I know that I am happy when he has gigs, even though people compare me so negatively compared to him, and that's you, Tom.
Aw.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm
You got
happy
an
and sad
extra.
at the same
You got an
time.
extra 2 minutes for me some night.
Sure.
Something. You squeeze me in.
Listen,
I take that back. I don't want you squeezing me in.
Squeeze between us.
a Doug sandwich. Speaking of plugs, we should plug our next show for Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max. Tuesday, March 24th. We're going to be talking about the late, great Peter Sellers. And our in-studio guest is going to be Jason Pollock, another comic and producer.
I've come to inspect the film.
Is that your Minky?
Okay, that's our Peter Sellers.
I want to volume. Anyway,
And don't forget the Abbott and Costello birthday celebration.
yes,
He's
114.
114.
Oh, it's his,
March 14th at
He-
the Patterson Museum
He will not be there.
yeah.
in beautiful Patterson, New Jersey. Lou Costello will not be there.
They didn't even think to invite him.
But they're probably going to be wonderful Abbott and Costello impersonators.
Well, the usual guys, Bud and Lou.
Right. And
Lou Sciarra.
they're going to have some snacks, some birthday cake probably.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to be showing some of the old TV shows.
Right.
Ooh, great.
Oh, Jack. Jack, by the way, is a member of Lou's Angels, the organization that a couple of times a year cleans the at Costello Park.
Right.
Costello Park. I read on Facebook about them having plans to expand the park. Have you heard anything about this?
No, I haven't. But thanks for putting me on the spot.
Sure. Anytime. I need to find out more about that.
I think we'll find out at the birthday
I'm
party.
sure we will. I'm sure.
And Lou's Angels does more than just cleaning. You're making Jack sound like he's went into retirement and now he's sweeping up in a park.
I knew I'd clean up in that city.
No, but they also sponsor. They have a boxing program. Because I
Well,
guess Lou, way back in the day,
they don't.
But that's not Lou's Angels,
that's
right?
Oh, I thought Lou's
Lou's
Angels did that.
No,
There's
Lou's
still-
Angels do the celebrations at the Patterson Museum for Bud Abbott, for Lou Costello.
Yeah.
They did the 75-year anniversary
Yeah.
for Who's on First.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, that Patterson Museum, look around next time you're there, besides the party that we go to, that's really a special place to go visit
Oh, it is. It's incredible.
anytime,
Yeah.
party or no party, because they
Right.
have a lot beautiful displays, and it's only about 2 blocks from the Great Falls.
Right.
And really, that's something to see.
And most of it is about Patterson's involvement in the Industrial Revolution. That it was based in Patterson,
Sure.
practically.
Definitely.
You know.
Submarines.
Oh, the first submarine.
First submarine, I think, was designed
Holland,
there.
John Holland.
Right. Nothing to do with the Holland Tunnel, though. I
No.
thought it was, but
No,
it's
no,
not.
no.
Right. And I believe they're also
The Colt revolver used to be produced in Patterson, the factory.
right. Yes, you're right. Yep.
I used to teach in Patterson. I was there for several years.
Patterson, where mother.
It's just half a word.
We're here every other Tuesday.
Don't forget
Almost.
to tip your waitress.
So listen. So
Try the veal.
Try the veal.
So every show we pick a comedian that we want to highlight and talk about. And I've been wanting to talk about my favorite comedian for a long, long time, even though he might not have regarded himself as a comedian. I confess, I love Andy Kaufman.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're very well.
What was it?
Anyway,
What did he play on Taxi?
Latka.
Latka Gravis.
Latka.
Latka.
I like latkes.
Yeah.
So do I.
Very nice. Anyway, so also on our show, should we bring in our special guests?
Are we?
Are we ready for them?
I think so.
Do you have other things you would like to? Who you got there?
He's got.
Oh my God!
Mighty Mouse.
There we go.
Oh, what size is that shirt?
Too small for me. That's why I'm wearing the other shirt over it.
Too small for you.
And of course, Jack is wearing that for Andy Kaufman's famous bit where he lip synced the song from
Here he comes to save the
the
day.
theme song from
Mighty
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 Mouse.
Mouse. Yes.
And that's all he said was, "Here he comes to
Yeah,
save the day." It was
that's
great.
right.
Anyway, why don't we bring in our
Yes.
our special
Why don't we do that?
additional studio guests who
And-
are fresh off a run with the famous round table by Mr. John Brecco.
That's right. They were on the other podcast, and now they're on our podcast, and we're going to bring them in right now. Ladies and gentlemen,
If they can hear,
No Filter Paul and Dave Hodge.
woo, and the crowd is going wild. And that is
There we go.
Hodge, H-O-J. Somebody
Yes.
spelled it with the D-G-E. Does that happen a lot?
I get a lot of things that happen a lot to me, so I'm not offended by that.
That's a Hemi Hodge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm used to people butchering my name, which is why I shortened it for people.
Yeah.
And they still butcher it. So
Oh, I
whatever.
never thought it. So what is your Hojanowski?
Yes.
H-O-J.
Hodgkowski.
H-O-J. Can you spell your name? Do you know?
Yes,
you
I can.
spell it?
YOURNAME.
And that was Paul Field. Thank you, everybody.
You told me I can't do dirty jokes, so I'm sticking with the clean stuff.
I know, but
We're
I
in
know you're
trouble.
going to be floating. I know you're like hovering. You're going to be like the electron wanting to fall into
As soon
the
as Doug
nucleus.
says one dirty word, the gloves are off. He said if he says a dirty word, I can go.
And,
I've heard that before.
he's going to egg you on.
Tom, where did you first hear that?
Mud.
Hear what?
We can't curse, but if somebody says one curse, we could all curse.
Stop. We're not. Let's.
No,
talk
I'm not
about,
saying that. I'm talking about
forget
something else.
about. Let's stop
Remember
talking about what
Kulik
we
show?
can talk about. Let's talk.
John Kulik.
Let
show.
us-
John Kulik,
Yeah.
Let us, instead of engaging in the rules of the conversation, why not converse? So, Dave goes back to my earliest
Why are we
days in
pinging?
comedy. Why am
As
I
mine.
yelling?
I don't know.
One of the mics is
I
probably
meant
too loud.
Paul-
It might be this one.
Is
I
your
met
hearing
Paul
aid
years later that my hearing aid is in my pocket, so I have to yell in order for it to get from my hearing aid up into the
I met Doug in the train station at
at
Union.
the train station. We
In
were
Union.
Oh, Rockin' Joe's?
Yeah.
we were passing in the night. I remember that
Nice.
There was some people in there
of
trying
all the
to
coffee
school me on
shops-
comedy, and Doug took me outside and told me how to do comedy really.
night. I said, Paul, come out with me by my car, and we engaged in some light little banter. I noticed he had an accent that was kind of hot,
And that's how he led to your back seat.
and that, yes.
Paul, do you remember where we met?
Every buffet in the state.
At the Borgata.
Was it the Bagada? I don't know. Where was it?
Harris. When we went
Okay, well, we're in the right town.
Yeah, when we went to see Jeff Foxworthy
Oh, yeah.
with
yeah.
Carlo,
That's
Okay.
right.
right?
Yeah, Carla, whose name cannot be said.
Oh, is he persona non grata?
I don't know.
No, that's
The
that's
performer
past.
formerly known as.
Anyway, Dave, where do
Hey.
I know you from? Where was the
From the
first?
Cove.
Was it the Cove originally?
Yeah, we met at the Cove.
So how long have you been doing stand-up?
6 years now.
Okay.
And you.
And I think it's my microphone that has the feedback
I
and the
think
weird
so,
loudness.
If we had
And I
an
can
engineer working here, he could adjust the mic so there's
Yeah,
no ringing.
make it so that it's Paul that has the no.
I don't think it's me. I think it's him.
No, it's me. That's why we're saying turn yours down.
Hodge, didn't you start out with Gonzo?
Yeah.
Okay. You took classes?
I didn't take his class. No,
Oh, you
I,
didn't?
I met him a few years before that, and he wanted me to sign up for his class. I'm like, nah, I'm good. And I wound up opening for Levy once,
Oh, okay.
and totally bombed. I'm like, maybe I should get some advice.
Yeah.
And I got some advice. I'm like, all right, I'm on the right track now. Let me.
You never got advice from me.
And that's
You know
why
what
it's
I-
working.
You know what I would have told you?
Stay away from Gonzo. No,
Never take advice from comedians.
That's true.
Now, Paul, of all of us here, I think you've got the most notoriety as far as your credits
Most
go.
YouTube views.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're not allowed to discuss anything in those YouTube views. No, I started on O&A. Norton brought me on O&A in 2004,
Now,
2005.
for those of us who don't know,
Oh, sorry, O&A, Opie and Anthony.
opening and
Open it, yes.
Opening. The first episode I did was when they went to Norton's apartment in Cliffside Park, and he had posters on the wall, and under every poster was black mold. They'd move the posters around to cover the black mold. It was him and Jim Florentine were living in the same apartment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Cliffside Park.
Is that the Cribs episode?
Yes.
Yes.
That was the first episode I was ever on the show.
Nice.
Okay. And you had done several episodes.
Oh, hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that fell
Were you
apart.
allowed to say bad words on that show?
On the XM, yes, but not
Did you
on.
have to
But not
say
on
bad
K-Rock.
words?
No, there was no
Did they
rule.
require you?
No. You know what it was at first? They were so used to be on a regular radio on NEW that they had to work their way around the FCC guidelines using like letters for curse words and all kinds of things, and then they got in trouble for that. So of course, when you're on XM, the first day you're there, you're like, I can say, you know what I mean? And then after a while,
After the first week or two.
yeah, it went back to just talking like normal people, which did include those words. But it
Okay,
wasn't
I've heard
overdone.
you talk. You don't talk like normal people.
Yeah,
That is a relative term. You
yeah,
are
it's
right.
relative.
None of his relatives.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Or maybe all of them. I don't know. Yeah.
By the way, your daughter's lovely.
All right, relax, step back.
Wait, which one?
Well, the one that
Oh
comes
my
to the,
God,
to the
Tom,
show.
we're on radio.
No, I've been to
To
Paul's.
do this out back, okay?
You've been to
Hey.
Paul's what?
Hey,
His
you
house?
mind if I bang your
No.
daughter? She's kind of hot.
Paul has his daughter taking.
She's
the
11, by
tickets.
the way. Just
Oh my God!
yeah, no, good one,
I'm
Tom.
sorry. Okay,
Forget it.
She'll be 11. All right, good point, Tom.
So that would probably stop you, Tom, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, too old.
No, but tell us about.
Wait, no. Now we're going someplace else. My call. So Tom called. I'm like, where were you? Oh, I went to see a movie. What did you see? Finding Nemo. What? Yeah, I like movies. You went to see Finding Nemo?
I see
Yeah,
every movie.
everybody was looking at me funny. Everybody was looking at you funny. You went to see Finding Nemo
No,
by
this
yourself.
is the thing, Jack.
They wondered how the whale got out of the movie.
He's gonna go. Listen, he's gonna go into his. But I love movies.
No, they had this promotion at the movie theater.
I'm sure they did. Was it free food of some kind?
Yes.
Of course it was.
Of course, you get a number 5.
You know who hates going to the movies when you're there? The 400 people sat behind you. Going, where's the movies theater? I can't. This is supposed to be a 50-foot screen.
I thought
All
this
can
was
see-
IMAX.
I can see Tom Mongelli's head and ears and 2 inches of
Where's
the movie on each
Nemo?
side. Yeah.
Where's Nemo?
At the end of
Nemo?
at the end of it, all the kids are asking. They still couldn't find Nemo.
Nemo's swearing this big guy's ear up front.
Waldo ate him. But no, they had this promotion where if you get a number 5, the large popcorn, large drink, you get a free candy. And I kept telling him, I don't want the candy. No, you have to take the candy. I'm diabetic. I don't want. You have to take the.
So he's offering candy.
So I take the candy and
And
try
walk
and
into a
give it
kids
away.
movie for free. Yeah.
and how do you think this movie ended?
Chris Hansen walked in and said, "Do you want some cookies?"
Here's some lemonade to go with your candy and cookies.
So I look like a big fat pedophile. That's all.
So normal then.
For him, the movie never ended. He never got to the end of it.
So this has been talk about my favorite comedian, Andy Kaufman. So
What did you think of Man on the Moon?
Yeah.
I liked it.
He meant Doug, but anyway.
How did you think? Did you see Man on the Moon?
you know something? Why can't I hear myself?
We hear
Did
you.
you
We
turn
all
my
hear
mic
you.
off, Doc?
No.
No,
We
you're
hear
on.
you. We hear you
We
fine.
hear you.
So well, I loved Andy Kaufman more than I loved the movie.
Okay.
So I loved Andy Kaufman, and I thought Jim Carrey did presumably he did a very good job. I don't know how close it was biopic wise, but I grew up. I'm an old guy. I remember Andy first day on Saturday Night Live and all his episodes on David Letterman, and I did not understand it. I loved what he was doing. He didn't call himself a comedian,
No, he
but I
was
loved
wacky.
what he. I remember the first. I don't know if it was the first time he was on Saturday Night Live, but all he did was put on the record player and do the Mighty Mouse thing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant.
I like that.
I think that was the second time, because I was reading up on him. Because in England, the only time we saw Andy Kaufman was Taxi.
Oh, okay.
That was the first time we
Now,
saw
that
him.
was in the
when did you
90s.
move over?
Obviously, he was dead. It was 1993, 1994.
Okay. And
Yeah.
he died in 84, I think?
Yeah, so I saw him there. Then I saw Man on the Moon.
Okay.
Then I started looking at YouTube videos, and I saw the stuff with, like, he was fighting with a wrestler guy.
Yeah.
It was out on Letterman, I think it was.
Lawler.
Yeah, and there was that.
And that was supposedly set up.
Yeah, they said
Just
like
based
10
on
years
the movie,
later.
it was
Yeah,
set up.
yeah.
If it was,
It
but
came out after he died, after Andy died.
but we were talking about this at dinner. I always knew he was like trolling. He was before the internet. He was trolling people.
Yeah.
And I thought he was brilliant at it.
Yeah.
And the Mickey Mouse thing, if you think of it,
Mighty Mouse.
If
Mighty
Mighty
Mouse.
Mouse. If we did that today, well, I'm going to do Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
But you do that today, you can't do that. He did it.
Well, he got away with a lot of stuff that wouldn't fly today.
Well,
Yeah.
didn't Joaquin Phoenix try to do that with his fake documentary thing on?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was quite recent. He tried to do it.
That was like 8 years ago.
Joaquin Phoenix did.
Yeah.
What was it he did?
Where
did.
he was retiring
Oh,
from
right.
entertainment.
Yeah, he was retiring
Yeah.
from comedy, from movies, and he was like looked like he was emo and on drugs, and he was on. He was it at Jimmy Kimmel's show?
No, it was Casey Affleck, I think, that was with him in filming that.
No, the show that he went on
I
and
think
tried.
it was
Kimmel,
Kimmel.
yeah,
Yeah, it was Kimmel, right? Yeah, so I mean, people try, but they're not gonna.
You know who comes close to Andy Kaufman, but still... does
Thank
not
you,
count?
Tom.
Huh?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know what you're going to say.
What's his name? Borat. What?
Oh, yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Sacha
Yeah.
Cohen.
I think
Yeah.
he's
I
very-
thought you were going to say me.
Well, besides...
Did you see the new Showtime show that he did? This Is America, I think it was
No.
called.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah. He tried to get OJ to admit that he's in the room and he's like, yeah, how would you kill him? Yeah, can you give me some advice? What kind of knife would you, if you were going to do it?
Do you have
know?
any copies of that book that you wrote?
Yeah. But I honestly think that Sacha Baron Cohen has jumped the shark. The original Ali
Yeah.
G show that was on in England,
Uh-huh.
in America they just showed the bits with politicians and actors that you guys would have heard of.
Right.
The show in England was longer and had a lot of British politicians. And when that first came out, he got everybody with that Ali G show. And then
when
he did
the
Borat.
when the edge in comedy has moved so far up, where do you go to push it? And that's
You go to
Sacha Baron
no
Cohen.
future
Yeah.
Paul.
I mean, he did a
No
lot of his.
future Paul, that's a good one.
Yeah, but how do you do it now? Because the edge is going like this. Because to stand out, you have to be real close to the edge.
You got to shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue.
Right, but
is
then
what you gotta
PC is coming
Yeah, but
this
then you
way.
get elected. We don't want that.
Right? PC is coming this way, and
Right.
the edge is going this way. Where I think South Park is probably the edgiest thing you're gonna see because they can still get away with stuff as cartoon. I think
I'm surprised they've allowed them to
because it's a
For
cartoon.
now.
continue on with the way
So
they
a
have.
funny story about South Park. So my kids are 8 and 10 years old, something like that. And one day my son comes to me.
Sorry.
Oh, we're at the supermarket and he wants candy. I'm like, you don't need that. He goes, open up your Jew wallet. I'm like, oh my God, my Catholic wife turned my son into an anti-Semite against me. And a week later, he's like, Dad, move your skinny Jew legs. I'm like, okay, my God, my son is an anti-Semite.
And then you realize he watches too much South Park.
It was 2 months later. The kids are 8 and 10. I'm walking through the TV through the sunroom. I see South Park commercial comes on, and Cartman goes, "Move your skinny Jew legs," and it hit me. That's where they'd been watching it for 4 years, and I'm like, my son, when they were like 4 or 5, they're watching South Park.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I thought they were seeing cartoons. When I grew up, cartoons were a safe place.
So you got to remember,
It's
that's
good
an
to-
adult cartoon. That's
Yeah.
the thing that everybody
I
forgets.
But
saw
it's good
a
to
cartoon.
know.
Adult Swim is all that.
It's good to know that Doug has really got a tight relationship with his kids. 4
Yeah.
years later,
Doug's son called me and told me I was getting due pay for doing this show.
You're not getting that much.
Not even that, yeah.
Well, once you take
But I
all of
got
his fees
Kugel.
out,
I'm gonna make you. What did you say?
once you take all your fees out, it's about the same.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I actually won $100 in a Halloween costume. I dressed up as Chef in the second episode,
Okay.
second season of South Park, and it was the second time I was a black person. But $100. I had this black woman, hot as hell, come up to me in the parking lot afterwards. She thought I was black, and she was trying to pick me up. She was warm.
She
for
wanted
my
She was
walk.
trying to
salty
pick
chocolate
you
balls.
up.
He can't pick you up with a forklift
Was she a
truck.
weight
With a
lift?
forklift.
Weight lift?
Exactly.
Well, she did bring a fork.
She got there with lift. I got there with forklift.
Who treated her hernia?
Yeah, exactly.
7 of them.
Dr.
No,
Jack Hoffman.
But she
Oh,
looked
there's
at-
a DIY. There's a DIY place that does hernia procedures.
Oh yeah, where's that? What's the name of it?
Suit yourself.
Okay.
That's probably the only thing you can't get on Groupon because you can get all kinds of stuff on Groupon now. I wonder if you can get like hernia surgery on Groupon.
I
Oh, you probably
actually,
could.
I've never done it, but if there's a DIY video, people that know me know I'm OCD clean. I do perform minor surgeries for $129
Nice.
Yeah.
plus airfare.
Plus airfare. Nowadays, airfare.
Bring your own anesthetic.
Actually, airfare you'll get changed now.
Paul, when did you start? When did you start as a comedian?
I started. Norton told me 15 years ago I'm very quick on the stuff and I should start doing stand up, and I just never had the courage to do it. And then in October 2.5 years ago, I met Dave. Actually, I think I knew you a little bit.
I knew you
that.
before that.
Yeah, so me and Dave were talking, and I'm like, hey, I've always wanted to try stand-up. This is on a Monday. He calls me and he goes, hey, on Saturday you're doing a comedy show. So not even a mic.
Oh, wow.
I had 5 minutes on a comedy show
Are you
in
serious?
Bayonne. Yes.
Oh, no.
Was it Bayonne?
Yeah, it was a bar show. Yeah.
Bayonne is beautiful this
Yeah.
time of year.
So there's me. I
Were
had
you shitting a brick on stage?
yeah, pretty much. But I had started putting ideas for jokes on my phone a while before that because I'm like, I'm going to try this. So
Well,
I
that's
had
what he
thi-
told me. He's been writing for years.
So I had
I'm
all
like,
this.
go
I had
for
this
it.
much stuff on a piece of paper, right? So I get up there, and a minute and a quarter in, I'm done with this whole sheet of paper.
In his mind, his 10 minutes of material went in the first minute and a half. He's like,
See, mine, I remember my first show, I went up with like 42 items on a piece of paper. I got through 2 of them. Next time I was smart, I went up with 6 items on a piece of paper. I got through 2 of them.
Are you more of a storyteller though? Yeah. See, I at that point hadn't. Stories are something I can only tell stories that are true. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Re-
Well, my stories all
remembering
begin true.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But you have a pointer and you know where you're going, right?
Yeah.
So I right now I'm trying to develop longer stories.
I always
And it's
wanted
always
to
true
ask-
stuff. I can't do
But
anything
but,
that's fake.
but be careful, because I had so many stories, and then I see somebody like Tom who has an awful lot of very quick, funny things.
Right.
So for like bar shows where you're fighting with
I do a
people,
lot of stuff like
you know,
that.
then they're not going to listen to a story
I think
unless
it's
they
best
want to
if you
find
have
out
a
what happens.
combination.
you need that. Yeah, you need to have a good combination.
Bob Levy put me up in front of a crowd that was fighting him, and I did 29 minutes fighting with the crowd.
Really?
Yeah.
And ripping
Which to
Bob
me,
apart.
I'm ripping Bob apart. And
I think that's your strong point is interacting with the audience.
yeah.
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 That's
Interacting.
My goal this year is I'm trying to work with him on hosting more.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
gotta-
think he'll be a lot better with his material once he starts hosting more. Because he'll get that interaction with the crowd. He gets that.
Yeah,
Learning how to enjoy and read
But
the
you
crowd
are
better.
very quick.
Yes.
I'm happy with like a short feature is where I find myself right now. I can do 20. That's kind of
Right,
where
how
I'm at.
tall are you?
Yeah, well, you know. Periods
Shorter
and,
than 20.
Periods and capital O's. But now I want to get into hosting, and I need to learn some of the stuff like Comedy Cove you had mentioned before. When you host at Comedy Cove, they give you 10 minutes up front, but they want at least 5 minutes of, hey, who's got a birthday today?
Yeah,
Who is
right.
it? Some clubs, you know, the headliner might be a crowd guy. He doesn't want me going in there and talking to the crowd. So
Well,
it's
a lot of the New York clubs, they'll have like 15 comics that the host doesn't really get to host. They just
Right.
bring them up.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm
tells
You know
like 2
something?
minutes of material.
If a
Boom.
headliner, and I've heard this before from people that were hosting or featuring, and the headliner came up to him and said, "Don't talk to the crowd."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're a confident headliner, you shouldn't have a problem with
Right.
somebody else doing whatever they want to do for comedy,
Right.
good, bad, or whatever. That's their time on stage.
Speaking of crowd work, you mentioned Bob Levy. He's great.
Oh, he's a
Oh,
genius.
he's amazing.
yeah.
But I took him on for 29 minutes, and I had so much fun. And it went like, you know, I got up, and the guy, he's like, you did nearly half an hour, and I'm like, because I was just having fun with him.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of people, and it was me and him just went back and forth for 29 minutes, and threw the crowd in a little bit.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was, it was so much fun. He helped me
Great
a
guy.
lot.
I just did a show with him in Delaware recently.
Nice. Where at?
What's in Delaware?
Nothing.
Exactly.
No, where in Delaware though?
I don't remember the name. It was a brewery.
You're making stuff up, Tom.
Blue World.
What is it?
Blue World Brewery.
I might have been it. Yeah.
With Al.
Al.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually no, he didn't do that show with me. I did the Blue World Brewery before. He
Okay.
wants
What
me
was the
back
what
there.
was the name of the place we did the other show?
It was I forget that it was a music hall.
We did
in
this.
Smyrna, Delaware.
Oh,
That's
But
where-
Al, I love working with Al. He's so much fun.
That's the same
yeah,
place
yeah.
because this new one is blue and it's in.
No,
Smyrna.
Blue World is the one he had first, and then we did.
that's
the
also
second
in Smyrna.
Yeah.
And
but on the other side.
and this has been Andy Kaufman Talk.
Now Andy first opened for.
Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max. So one. I don't know. Did you see the episode where he was on Letterman, and he began with, how you doing, Andy? Oh, my wife left me. I lost my job. I don't have any money. And people started snickering. No, in the audience, he's like, "No, I'm serious."
He could straight face it for
And then
hours.
he
Oh,
went
yeah,
out
yeah.
into the audience panhandling, and they finally got security to take him off. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, it
Johnny
is
was
brilliant.
probably the only one that knew. He said, "I'm gonna,
Yeah.
David Letterman loved him. He
Yeah.
had him on
Well, I
at
did
least
too.
a dozen times.
I did too."
What you're
Yeah, but
saying,
you didn't have a talk show, so.
You're saying you didn't see the movie. There's a scene in that movie that's famous for where he did Larry
I did
David
see
show
the movie.
Friday. Oh, do you remember that scene with Fridays?
Oh,
Yes.
with the Richards.
Well, you
with
can-
Michael Richards.
With the Michael Richards character. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot all about. I've also I remember as a kid the whole wrestling and the whole
Yeah.
like it was because at the time him and Bobby Riggs were the two people that were being pain in the asses. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry for saying asses. I'm just saying.
Well, they were both trolling.
Right, they were both
Yeah.
trolling, but it was like I remember very vividly those two guys, doing those type of things. I'm like, wow, and that movie brought me back to that. But it was also fun watching him. Like I forgot that it was Michael Richards, who was the guy that Norm Macdonald played in the movie.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, because I went to, I'm like, who is that? I'm like, this looks very familiar.
Now,
I'm like,
what was that? Was that called Fridays?
That was
It
a
was
show.
called
Yeah,
Fridays,
It was
yeah.
an SNL type show. But
It
on
did
Friday.
not last particularly long.
I think it was
don't
that one season. Yeah.
I like when he said Fridays. He thought of bottomless wings.
yeah.
Yeah, and Andy, he also, and it was in Man on the Moon. He wanted that was
Jack
not
Burns,
Fridays, but
Jack
he wanted to
Burns.
do his own like kids show or something like that, didn't he?
You got me on that one.
Or are we talking about Fridays? Did Andy
No, I think
required
he
he wanted to
yeah,
do
no, he did
some,
a
and he did
children's
it.
show, yeah.
Oh,
I
I
saw
saw
that.
it,
Yeah, I
and
saw
it was with where he was messing with the
Yes, where he messed
vertical,
with the vertical,
the,
yeah.
the
Yes.
vertical control,
Yep.
and he did it for like a minute. And I remember seeing that.
Was that the one where the TV people were freaking out
Yes.
because he put up the fuzz?
And they thought
Uh-huh.
everybody's
They
going to
thought
go
everyone's
up
gonna
and
change the channel.
And
Yep.
he's like, "That's the funny part,"
Yeah.
and it was.
And it's interactive.
And ever since I started stand up, one of the things I wanted to do, I wanted to do it all along, and I know it'll do. I need the time and the guts, but I just want to play Simon Says with the audience.
There's a guy at an open mic that I think you might have been on.
Uh-oh. It's
He,
been done.
no. He plays Connect 4 for 5 minutes against
Against himself.
and he doesn't win.
As characters.
I'm not even joking. He does that, and he played Jenga one time for 5 minutes.
Against himself as the Russian champion of whatever he's
So
playing.
I once performed at a Methodist retirement home. I had no idea how tight Methodist people were, but afterwards I heard from
They weren't so tight.
I heard from the woman who ran the show, Missy Allen. ran that
Okay.
show. I heard from her afterwards. She said, "So I got feedback from the woman running the show. They really did not care for anyone. They particularly did not like you." I opened. The person they liked was the person who Googled. We found out 5 minutes before how clean it was. He Googled clean comedy, clean jokes.
Okay.
And he had his phone up, and he was reading the
just
phone
read
to
'em?
them, and he was their favorite comedian.
That's
Not
awful
comedy.
in so many ways. Yes.
I know, but but it's funny.
For us, yeah.
For the right amount of money, anybody would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't sit there. I don't think I could sit there on my phone looking at clean comedy.
Yeah, because we know what's on your
would-
phone.
Well, that besides
What
that,
did the fish say when it ran into a wall?
Forget that it's
Damn.
Missy, because we all know. I mean,
Yeah.
she just passed away recently and all. But shouldn't the booker
Let you know in advance.
know the audience
Yes.
first?
Yes.
Someone
The
I
crowd.
can't remember who the booker was, but John Hollywood got set up by a booker one time. Was it our friend?
yes.
Yes, it was someone you mentioned way earlier. There was a lot of disabled people in the audience, and he told Hollywood to go up there and do all his disabled material.
Oh, no. I know the material.
And then when he got off the stage, what did he say? Now you're a better comedian for doing that.
Because now you learned how to read the audience.
Now you should learn how to read the crowd.
Yeah, so like,
Oh my God.
like you're on a date and you realize this woman doesn't have any arms or legs. So, I'm
Doug.
like, what do I? Well, I decided, yeah, I did. It was great.
Doug, he actually has a bit about that, and it's based on a true story.
I've got one.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
got
me,
one based,
yeah.
but after the show.
Yeah,
we'll-
definitely.
We'll swap. I've got a great story. My story begins with this woman looked at me and said, "Doug, what are you thinking?" On a first date, and I realized I couldn't tell this woman what I was thinking,
That's
and
fair.
we'll go from there. We'll swap.
Yeah, it's fun when you're dating
Inappropriate
someone.
stories.
You're dating someone online for months, and then just as you're getting on a train to cross country, she mentions she's going to be in a wheelchair at the train station.
After you're already on the train.
After you're already on the train and committed to a 2.5-day train ride to Oregon from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that happen to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Did.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
So that reminds me of the woman.
That's freaking hysterical.
Segue coming.
So that reminds me of
Speaking
the
of
woman
segues.
who I'd been emailing for a week or two. Anyway, so we're getting pretty intimate, and we're getting to talking about our first date. And she says, "Oh, by the way, I've got this condition."
Don't cry, little buckaroo.
So I don't know what the name of the condition is, but she, like, around her lips were all white and around her eyes.
Is
were,
she,
like,
is she a
all
colored
white.
lady
There's
that has that?
No,
that
she was
thing?
white,
Like,
but
what's his
she
name?
was-
Vitiligo?
Yeah, vitiligo.
Whatever, but yeah, it's like. And then there was the other woman who said, "Oh, by the way, I don't wash my hair but once a week."
She has a shaved
Well, if it's in
head,
a
or-
bu- if it's in a
That's
bucket,
my
I guess that's
grandmother.
something-
My grandmother was like that. You go and get to the salon, and then you cover it with the plastic thing for a week.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I'm not like, this is 5 years ago. I'm not going out on a date with a woman who doesn't wash her hair for a week. Wash your hair. How much trouble is it?
My wife had that thing all around her mouth when I first met her. It was called hair. She's Italian.
Is she Italian? I was
Yeah.
married to an Italian woman.
Yeah.
That's right. Your first wife was Italian.
My only wife.
I like how you say Tom says first like you've had 25.
Yeah.
Your first one.
Well, she was my first one.
Yeah.
Whether or not she'll.
So are you dating online? Just to derail this for 1 minute. Are you? 'Cause
Well,
you mentioned that you're meeting people. I'm just wondering if you're doing now.
Some of us know. Go ahead. tell
I
them.
was dating online, honey. I'm not dating anymore, sweetie.
He's dating online, but it
only-
was at Walmart.
You're the only one. What did you say?
He said you were dating online at Walmart.
I've done that. I've said so. I'm in. That was a joke of mine. I'm in the checkout line, and this woman, beautiful woman, gets in line behind me, and I did what I thought I was supposed to do, and I checked her out. She checked me out.
Dave picks up chicks at the
Then she
rehab
noticed.
center.
Then she noticed the only thing I'm holding in my hand is what, Tom? Remember?
I don't remember.
Glycerin suppositories.
Oh, yeah.
Hot.
It was to lubricate a basketball needle.
Okay.
I needed them for my son's new basketball.
I was wondering where you're
It
going to put
said,
that needle.
lubricate it with glycerin. And so I'm buying glycerin in the drugstore. This beautiful woman, like and then she looks at the glycerin suppositories. I'm like, you can't say anything to her. You could have said something to her, Paul. I couldn't
Yeah.
have said anything to her. You would have had a great time with her.
I never heard of using glycerine as a lubrication.
As an opener.
Yeah,
That was
definitely.
that was one of Bush's best songs.
Glycerin.
Oh yeah, glycerine. Yeah, yeah.
Glycerine.
Doug has no idea what you're talking about, Dave. I tell you
It's
now.
a 90s rock song.
When you said Bush, you thought of something completely different.
And ivory go together. In
That was the last hard rock
perfect
song Doug liked.
harmony. Glycerin and ivory. If you don't use the glycerin, the ivory's going to give you a hard time, people.
Tom, do you have any? Are you a single man or are you married? I don't.
I'm double, but I'm
No, I mean,
married.
you are married?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any dating advice for Doug? How do you get a woman and Doug doesn't? I understand that.
Who said I get a woman?
He locks him in a storage place.
The last time I had a woman that pubic hair was still
Don't
in.
open storage unit 101. That's where his wife is kept.
Right.
He, in front of the storage counter, he's got a little tripwire, and then once they're down, he flops on top of them. That's how he gets them.
He has a booby trap so that way a little
It would have to be the same
a
wire.
dart with some sleeping stuff in it.
It would have to be the same wire they tie ferries up to trip him over.
Wasn't he on that TV show?
Storage whores.
Storage Whores. Yeah.
Storage what?
Storage whores.
I thought he said something else.
Ay, ay, ay.
I still think doing a podcast out of a storage facility would have that little, like a Shining, like in the movie The Shining,
Right.
the
You got
long
The
hallways
Shining.
with all the
It only works if you have a guy with a bear suit.
No, I want the two of you guys dressed up as those little 9-year-old
The
girls
twins?
At
That'd
in
be
the
hot.
little
At the
in the
end of
little
the
school
hallway.
outfit.
Yeah.
Doug, you don't understand. We'll
Come
do
play
anything
with
for
us.
anything for airtime. Anything
Doug,
for
come
airtime.
play with us.
You just have to
I
pay.
understand that.
And we have the outfits in our
I'm the
closets
same
right
way.
now.
That's because I took it from a young lady, but
Is
that's
it-
a whole nother story.
They're both green plaid.
Did it involve duct tape?
And I have the big wheel.
Oh, okay.
I think the podcast at the storage unit would be great if when someone's in there putting their stuff in, he just walks into their pod, sits there, and does a podcast while they're just putting
While they're
their
moving stuff in and
while they're
out.
moving stuff in and out of the place. He just starts randomly.
It's okay, go around me.
Play by play, he'll do.
Yes.
What kind of swing is that?
Don't get on it. It's really a what did they call it? Hang on, I'm going to remember the trebuchet. Right, the big, the medieval, the trebuchet.
He almost made me say a bad word.
A trebuchet. Don't say a bad word. You know what a trebuchet is.
The
Paul
password
does.
is trebuchet.
Trebuchet. It's a thing that throws the rock at the old
It's
medieval
called a
castle.
catapult.
It's
Aristophanes.
trebuchet.
The funny talk with Mongelli and Max is drinking game. When you hear trebuchet, take a shot.
And for our friends in Ethiopia,
And take 2 if you're in the storage unit.
Yes.
do you know we have a lot of people? You're broadcasting to Ethiopia, probably.
Some of my relatives.
Really?
He's 18%.
Are
Not
you
just
really?
Ethiopia, but yes.
Wow.
Are you really?
Yes.
Did
You do not look like you've got Ethiopian.
You
in
haven't
you.
seen me in the summertime.
He was in jail. He's had Ethiopian in him.
That's
I
all
say
another
that?
story. Yeah.
You know something? I hate to say this.
Uh-oh.
Right now, I'm seeing you in the summertime, Dave, and it's putting me off my food. I know.
Those Speedos are really messed up.
Exactly. They were
Yeah.
pink.
Is he wearing a
It was
sundress?
pink. You wear a pink Speedo.
Why not?
You don't have the body for it, man.
So you're just being judgmental.
He stood next
Right.
to
Body shaming. Stop body shaming, Doug.
Oh,
Really?
great. Now my girlfriend's
You're a
gonna say,
sexist body shamer.
You shamed Dave and it hurt his feelings.
his picture on Bumble is next to Mongelli in a thong. So you tell me which one's getting the date.
Bumbles bounce.
Mongelli in a thong.
I-
You know what? That image.
I just arrived.
He calls it a thong. We call it a complete dress suit.
He's been wearing it for 3 months and no one noticed.
Does it chafe?
It's more lost than Jimmy Hoffa.
And this has been Andy Kaufman Talk, brought to you by our sponsor, Bisquick.
Here I come to save
Do
the
you
day.
have a chafing thong? No need to let it bother you anymore. And do you like pancakes? Well, now you can have both.
Max, Doug, you have
That's
to
been done.
you have to do
That's been
talk
done.
about his thong in Andy Kaufman's voice.
Thong, 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 thong. Gene's doing his job tonight. Look at that.
No, he just lent on the YouTube player. He didn't actually do anything. He probably had a heart attack. He's like face down on the mixer.
So, Doc, does that mean we have a caller or you?
No, it means he was listening to the show and
And he heard you
contributing.
mention your sexy
He
thong.
was feeling. Are you feeling lonely, Doc, out there? We got a treat for you, baby.
I like
Come
how
in and get your peppermint, honey.
on every show they call him something different. He calls him Doc. We call him
That
G.
wasn't me. That was Ruben.
That was Ruben. Of course, it was
Either way.
Ruben. Ruben, of course, wouldn't pick a song of that ethnic persuasion.
Reuben, my favorite sandwich.
You mean Reuben Wood?
Yes.
Yeah.
Reuben Wood. I told you to keep it clean.
Thong is okay. They play it on the regular radio.
Yeah.
If you want him to stop doing it, just call a lift on your phone.
Or in my case,
Like DoorDash.
forklift. Actually, yeah, he does DoorDash, doesn't he?
Yes, he
I
does.
don't
He also does Mongelli Hub. He delivers lots of food at once.
Mongelli Hub. It's the black hole of food.
It's many black holes combined.
My family invented
vortex.
Grubhub. We used to send food to like all the people in the neighborhood that like there was an old woman that lived next door. We called
In
her
a shoe.
Grandma Marie. We used to bring her dinner every night, and she was more deaf than Doug.
What?
What do you say?
Exactly.
What? Huh?
And I would walk in,
Come again?
banging on her door like the place was on fire.
This is a clean show, Tom.
I know,
Okay.
banging aside. But she wouldn't hear me
Oh,
come
I
in.
get
and
that.
She would greet,
All right.
she would greet me with
I
a friggin'
absolutely
gun.
want to call BS on this story because if we have to believe you walked from your house to the neighbor and food made it.
Good point.
Food made it to the neighbor's
I
house.
didn't say all
Didn't.
the food.
See,
said
this is a
food made it.
person that clearly studied logic at a fine university like me, where you put things together and you're like, you know something? There's a problem with this story. And you're absolutely right for calling him on it.
All right.
That's
That's because one of us here went to Oxford. Now he went there and tried to rob.
I went for the day.
Yeah,
on
he
the
went
bus.
for the day. Yeah. It was a day trip, but he still went to Oxford.
Where are you from originally?
The Isle of Wight. Have you ever heard of it? If you look at the map,
I've heard, yeah.
It's not spelled.
Doesn't our president want to buy that island? I'm
No, that's
pretty
Greenland.
Sure.
No, Greenland's
No,
different.
no, they wouldn't sell it. So I think his backup was he wants a white island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's not spelled that way. But yeah,
I know it's not.
I know. But
He doesn't know that.
Every time I say that, everyone in the audience that's not white looks at me like, "You have an island?"
That's all white.
Coming from and you grew up in Great Britain. Mm-hmm. All right. So who were
Allegedly.
Who were your favorite comedians and comics and comedic actors from
From way back when? Oh my God.
that side
Benny
of the
Hill?
pond?
Benny Hill. I actually installed Benny Hill's cable TV. Claim to
Did
fame.
you?
Yes, in 1991.
That's interesting.
Yep.
John Cleese.
Benny Hill. Yeah, the Monty Python. All the old 80s, late 70s, early 80s
How did,
stuff.
now our next show is going to be Peter Sellers.
Okay.
Was he?
Why am I on the show with an American guy and there's a British show
Yeah,
next?
I know. Wow. What did he do?
What about, were you there when Eddie Izzard was big?
He was
You-
just starting, I think. Yeah. He's a
he's
character, that
phenomenal.
guy. Jimmy Carr is amazing. Have you seen Jimmy Carr?
Jimmy Carr, I like.
Yeah, Jimmy Carr is amazing. Ricky Gervais, of course.
Oh, I love
But
Ricky
see,
Gervais.
now the one thing he's holding out on right now, he's worked with Graham Norton and Jim Norton.
Yeah, yeah. I've
Wow.
worked with two Nortons.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually work with
Dave Norton at the drive-through.
no, I work with the Norton antivirus program.
I tried that. I still got crabs.
I do not have coronavirus.
And Tom went out with Ed Norton and Trixie.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Get a load of fatso there.
That wasn't the free. Oh, I can't say that.
So this has been
Andy Kaufman talk.
Andy Kaufman talk.
He's rolling
Andy
in his
approves this
grave.
message.
Yeah, right,
Andy, I love
He
you.
never
wherever you
called
are.
himself a comedian.
right.
No,
He
definitely.
called himself a song and dance man.
Right, I saw that. Yeah. It's true though. I mean, he's more.
Tony
he's
Clifton
improv.
was a comedian.
Right, Tony
Yeah.
Clifton.
No, but he and I share that. I've never been called a comedian.
That's true.
Don't laugh.
Are you a song
Don't
and-
encourage
are
me.
you a song and
you,
dance man?
Dave, for encouraging him. Yeah. I can't believe you call yourself a friend and you're like encouraging a friend to get into comedy. You knew better at that point.
Well, he wanted to, so why not push
He
him?
wanted to. Hey, I wonder what it's like going over Niagara Falls. He wanted to.
He had his own barrel.
So I pushed him.
Let me interrupt. Jack, do you think that Hodge looks a little like Lou Costello?
Because he's
Okay.
chubby and sweaty.
and not very tall. Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
He's sitting
Not
down.
very tall, lots of wide. Not very tall, not very thin.
I've been trying to get him to go to the,
I said I would do it every time, and
the
you.
14th, next weekend. Next
statue?
Next Saturday.
We're gonna put
Okay.
you. We're gonna cover you in shoe polish and put you next to the statue.
We don't do that type of thing.
We got to get a bowler for him, though.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in. I told you that the last 4 times.
Use the one you cut your hair with.
1 to 4. 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Done. I'm in.
All right. We'll see you there.
I leave work at 12. I got a show at 9, 8
What are you talking about?
next Saturday. Tiffs.
Yeah.
So hey, and I'm already up there.
This Saturday is down the shore.
Yeah, but we're talking about next Saturday.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And we're also talking about
Andy Kaufman.
my favorite comedian,
At 9:59.
who didn't call himself my favorite song
Isn't
and
it
dance
this
man.
Saturday?
This Saturday, March 14th.
Is that this? Yeah,
That's
that's
this
this
Saturday.
Saturday. I'm sorry.
This Saturday.
This Saturday, the 14th.
What's that noise?
It's
It's Paul has
someone
got
from
his vibrator
someone who runs the
working.
comedy club
Paul.
calling me for some reason. I'll talk to that later.
But anywho,
Comedy Cove, call me. Remember, I won your first contest.
He said it. Now we can.
No, I went.
I heard it.
It was a lisp.
L'Oreal and Gene were both listening.
Oh,
and
no.
watching
Oh,
the a few minutes
Gene was
ago.
calling me. Gene was still on the air, buddy. I'll call you when I'm done.
We'll be done in a couple minutes.
Yeah, this show's been done since 9:01.
yeah. So anyway, it is 9:59, and our show ends at 10 o'clock. So I just want to
It's
plug.
actually 10:01. Our show ended a minute ago.
Is that right?
So you're living on borrowed time now.
So their
And
clocks-
remember, Gene prorates the time
Their
here.
what
clock
time-
is. I'm atomic time.
What time did your show start? Did you
I'm
get an
within,
hour from
I'm
them?
within a
9
second or
o'clock.
two. It's 9. It's coming up on 10:01.
All right. Well, to close out the show, I want to mention again J.
Yeah, you're-
Irwin Productions, Jack at jirwinproductions.com. If you want to contact us here at the studio or at our show, it's funnytalkmm@gmail.com. There's comictownmongelli.com.
DaveHodge.com, HOJ.
Oh, HOJ. Okay.
That's it.
And
NoFilterPaul.com. All our shows are on there. And we got a show, JerseyShoreComedy.com on Saturday and NorthJerseyComedy.com a week Saturday at Tiff's. And then we got a show at Comedy Cove coming up beginning of the month. Lots of shows. Check out NoFilterPaul.com.
nice.
And you can find me. Doug is no one. Nothing.
Maybe Gene was trying to call you, but he
I've
didn't
got
have
a
your number.
Facebook. I've got a Facebook page. Give him my number.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been Funny Talk with Mongelli and Max. We'll see you next show.
He's Tom Mongelli,
Gene just
And he's
texted
Doug
me. He's got a
Max.
story about Andy Kaufman. It'll wait till the next show.
and that's
All right.
Jack Hoffman
Just in time for the next
And
comic.
Gene,
Dave-
do we have another 10 minutes to do a call-in?
and Dave Hodge.
Do we have 10
And
minutes to
Paul,
do a
whose
call-in?
show? You
He's
get your own
joking.
show. You organize when you get your own show.
I'm trying to buy you some free time here, Doug.
Anyway, Tuesday the 24th of this month, Peter Sellers is the spotlight with Jason Pollock.
Nice.
Yes.
I miss Jason.
I do too.
He's easy. He's so small. He's easy to miss.
That's true.
You know, speaking of Delaware, he's producing a show down in Delaware.
Is he?
Yeah, what is it? The Candlelight Theater, I think.
That's awesome. I gotta hit him up.
Who
Hit him
are
up.
we talking about?
Jason
Andy
Pollock.
Kaufman.
Jason Pollock.
Andy Kaufman.
Oh yeah, him too.
Tonight we're talking about Andy Kaufman and how he inspired non-comedians like
Tony
everybody
Cli-
that wants to be.
Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton inspired more people like Doug Max and Jason Pollock and myself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Tony Clifton definitely inspired No Filter Paul with that attitude in mouth.
Absolutely.
Well, according to my measurement of how our show went, it went very well because the time went very quickly.
Yes.
Time did go quickly.
Yep.
And I want to thank all our guests, Jack Hoffman,
Thank you for having me.
Dave Hodge. Thanks for being had, and No Filter Paul.
Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Always good seeing
All
your
right.
sexy.
Okay, let's sing our theme song and get out of here, Tom.
Here we come to save the day.
The theme song. Funny talk with my.
And that's my counterpart,
Funny talk.
Doug Max.
Funny talk.
Pray for me. Pray
with
for me.
Mongelli and
HamiltonRadio.net.
Max.
Thanks.
Donations
Peace
for
out.
gastric surgery.